So we want to talk to Nkosinathi Moshoana, who is at Primestars. He's the GM of Primestars. We've talked about Primestars before on this show because I've been involved in a number of their efforts, and they've all been tremendously successful. It's a great group of people who do really interesting things, particularly in education, which is, again, why we support them. But according to research that's been done by Primestars, nearly 800,000 matric learners have been out of school for over 2 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that doesn't stop them and the rest of the Primestars team from losing hope, because they have so much hope. They've been spreading it around and helping other people. Today, we're going to find out about how they're continuing with their educational programs. That's educate. You know how to spell that, right? And you can look it up. And you can go find more on their website about it too. By bringing matric pupils across the country to cinemas where they can get science and maths lessons. Again, these are two areas of education that need particular help. So, Nkosinathi, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Gareth. Good morning to the team. Hi, Pumi, Mulelo, Sia. Morning to your listeners. I'm good. Thank you. Very nice intro there. Nice to see everyone.
Thanks, man. Nice to see you. So, before we ask people if they can help out, let's just find out what Saving the Class of 2020 is all about. Tell me.
Thanks, Gareth. So you started with it, 800,000 matriculants nearly out of school. Lockdown, you know everything about lockdown.
Sure.
School closures. But for us, as Primestars, we've been on your show before and we've mentioned that we are the private tutor to public education, which simply means that we've positioned ourselves to support public schools and find a way to bridge the gap between private schools and public schools in terms of the quality of education.
Right.
So the campaign in terms of Saving the Class of 2020 is quite deliberately focused on public schools, under-resourced schools that we know since April this year have struggled along to try and keep up to date with the curriculum, which they haven't. I think about 50% of the curriculum still hasn't been covered at this stage, and we finding creative ways to support them to get through the year. They cannot afford
this is especially in maths and science, right?
This is specifically in math and science for this program, specifically for matriculants, who are in their final year of that 12-year career. And they're just in a position where they cannot afford to lose the year. And we've brought it up on ourselves to find a way that we can support them to try and finish the year as best as possible and try and avoid, the sort of multiply effect of not finishing this year.
Nkosinathi, what about the cinemas and people who are concerned about social distancing and all of that stuff? Because you have these wonderful facilities where kids can have an experience. So they're likely to take in more of this information. You've got great lecturers and tutors. But a cinema is not a place that many people want to be in with COVID-19. How are you looking after that?
Great question. And it's one that I always want people to ask. So we've had, 4 months to plan around how we're going to run our programming. We've looked at various ways of implementation, and we had to go back to the schools and see what they're doing and what their infrastructure is like. You know as well as I do, school infrastructure is dilapidated, unfortunately, especially in the public schools. They can't effectively social distance because the classrooms aren't big enough, but they still go to school anyway because they've got to salvage the year. So if you compare that to cinema, where we typically would have, let's say, 200 matriculants in one cinema, we're maxing it out at 50 only. So you're looking at least 3 seats between each learner in one row and skipping rows in between them. So when it comes to social distancing, we've got maximum planning around that. We've got sponsors that, thank God, have been able to provide PPE, so masks, gloves, in terms of sanitizers, thermometers. We've got an entire full screening process from school all the way to the bus, all the way to the cinema, to ensure that we can actually manage the safety of the learners, which is critical. And more so, the cinema themselves will have an air filtration system that minimizes the risk. So lots of work's been done in ensuring that the safety of the learners is important. We've got to make sure they remain healthy and they live, but we also got to make sure that they can learn so that they can earn.
I think it's great what you do. It has to be said also that you look after transportation, so you make sure that the kids can get to and from these lessons. You use the cinemas on weekends, which is really great because that's also spare time that they might have. And it gives them something to do where they can not only learn, but they can be taken into a place where they can be safe and they can absorb as much of this information as possible. They're given something to eat, something to drink. So it's a whole experience. It really is an extraordinary thing that you guys do. And I just wanted to bring some light to it this morning. If everybody else wants to get involved, Nkosinathi, how can they do so? And where can we go if we want to find out more?
Two places you can go. You can go to the Primestars website, which is primestars.co.za, as well as our new foundation, which is called the Youth Start Foundation. That's at .org.za. Put your details in the comments and we'll get in touch with you. We're looking for funders, donors, but we're also looking for individuals who just want to give their time, give us support. We need more facilitators in the cinema to ensure that social distancing and the likes is followed. And I just also wanted to mention something new to you, Gareth. We will be offering some of the content online. We advocate for face-to-face teaching because we understand that our public schools have limited access to resources. So, when we speak to our principals, they are quite adamant about face-to-face. But where there is opportunity to access our online programming, we do have an online platform that we'll be launching in September, which I'm super, super excited about. And we'll share with you. And please get involved. Running a national campaign, we cannot afford to allow the class of 2020 to fall behind. The inequalities and disparities are evident. Lockdown has shown us that. COVID has exposed what already was there. I don't think it was the cause, but rather just what put the light on the kind of inequality we have in education. And our focus is to ensure that we can bring that gap closer. More funders, more supporters, more people like yourself make the difference. And I just want to thank you and the Cliff Central team for always giving us a platform, always giving us an ear, always putting us out there to your listeners. We do get the support. It's not on deaf ears. And we appreciate active citizens like yourselves.
Well done to you.